Now it's time to learn how to get your fabric hooped just right so you have perfect finished results once you're done embroidering. The key is not to stretch your fabric and to always use the right kind of stabilizer. So this is a cotton fabric, so I have 2 layers of tearaway stabilizer. What I've done is just kind of rough cut them to the size of my hoop that I'm using. And I'm going to use a little spray adhesive. Now notice I am spraying my stabilizer, not my fabric, because it's not going to transfer and leave sticky stuff on my fabric. So I'm going to just stick 1 layer together. And I'm going to need a little bit more spray today. There we go. And then I'm going to spray this top layer. This is that web bond. Notice I'm not worried about getting so much spray on my rotary cutter mat that I'm working on because it has a little bit more of a direct spray. This is actually kind of like turns it into a post-it note. So as we put our fabric on here, there we go, and I kind of smooth it down, it sticks. That means that when I pull diagonally, look, it doesn't stretch my fabric. It means it's going to definitely help us as we're trying to get this into our hoop. Now, when all possible, if your design is going to fit into the smaller hoop you own, number 1, your machine's going to come up and say, use this hoop, and number 2, you're going to get better results and not waste stabilizer. So definitely just use the design or the hoop closest to the design size that you're working with. Next, let's identify what part needs to be where. The outside hoop has a bracket on the left side. So you need to have that up, and that needs to also have the screw down in the lower right corner. That one is going to go underneath my fabric. It also has a little arrow right here on the lower part. That is going to match up with the arrow on the inner part. That arrow is going to point to each other, and then you can also read the number. So when all possible, get that to be lined up just right. And next, what you want to do is you want to open up this little bracket here and then unscrew the screw. Not all the way, because it will actually come apart and then you have to put it back together. So you might kind of look at it and see how those little pieces are put in there. But it's really nice because once you get this set, all you have to do for fabrics you were repeating the same thickness and rehooping over and over, all you have to do is open and close. So since we don't have this set for this fabric, we're going to go ahead and kind of open it all the way up. Now, I have drawn some lines here, so let's say we actually need to get our hoop properly hooped. Now, you have lines here or marks on the hoop that you can go with, and that will make sure that you get this into the center. So what I can do is just kind of pick this up. I'm going to pick up stabilizer and fabric with them completely lined up with those marks. I'm going to aim to put the top part of our hoop in first. So that's going to go up here, and I'm going to kind of set that down without, let's see if I've got my hoop opened up enough. Yep. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this to the edge of the table, and I'm going to kind of slide off, and I'm going to pull with my fingers underneath, and I'm going to push this down and in. If I have loosened this enough, this should be almost hard to keep it stayed in because it's almost trying to push it back out. It's so loose, which it actually is. It's kind of springing up on my own. But just slide it off to the edge of the table, pull open that bottom hoop, slide it in there. Next, go ahead and take the lever and close it. It should be easy to close. If it's too hard to close, don't force it. You need to loosen up this screw a little bit more, then close it. Now we can go ahead and tighten this screw up. As we tighten it, we're going to have the hoop tighten on the fabric, but not necessarily the fabric pulled tight in the hoop. Does that make sense? That you definitely don't want to stretch your fabric. What happens if we stretch it and stitch it, and then, well, at the end it's going to all relax and then it doesn't look good in the middle? That's what we want to avoid, and that spray adhesive is going to help a lot with that. So once I'm done, I'm going to flip this over, and you notice how this is not all the way flush. I'm going to take my thumbs on the front side, push on that inner hoop just a little bit so it comes just past flush here, just a little bit. What that's going to do is I'm going to eliminate the scratching of the hoop against the bed of my machine. And it's also going to make these corners just a little bit tighter all the way around. All right. Now, anytime that you sometimes get longer hoops, this part right here is not as tight. And that's where those clips come in that you have a little box of, those little small ones. I'm going to show you how those go on. They actually are going to, first off, need to find, there's one side that has a little nub. That nub is going to fit in between these two little pairs of marks on your plate. So they're going to squeeze the fabric, or squeeze the two hoops together and make it so your fabric does not move on you. After you do those, you can come around. Now we do have this bracket on this side, so if you want to, you got marks above and below it. Go ahead and slide that in, and that will close it up. All right, and then we can put one more there. You also have room up here and on the sides to go ahead and do that. So that is actually how that's going to look. Now, if this is a piece of fabric that had some nap to it, I'm going to want to put some water-soluble stabilizer on top. And a little spray adhesive on this. It will not dissolve it, even though it is a spray. And then I can just stick that. So if my design, just cut it to the size of the design, and then you're ready. Your hoop is loaded, this is on, and then you're ready to put it on the machine. I'm going to show you one more thing about hooping. When you're done, just flip these. They tend to flip everywhere, so don't let them fall on your floor. They are a little sharp to step on. Ask me how I know. All right, when you're done, don't take the hoops and pop them apart. Come down here to your bracket. You're going to loosen this, and then all you have to do is pull that straight out. It's nice and loose. And if I had another piece that I was going to use, same fabric, same type of stabilizer, when I push that back in, all I need to do is push it in and close this up. And you rarely have to do much in the loosening, so it's almost preset for you from here on out on your second projects. Let's do one other thing. You have a template that you can purchase that will help you get things lined up. So if you find your 260 by 200 template from your local dealer, you can set that right inside. There we go. And this will help things get lined up a little bit easier. When I hoop, I tend to not try to hoop right on the center unless your design is exactly out to the edges and you will have no fudge room to move it side to side or up or down. I tend to like to see my lines parallel to these red lines a little bit. So let me just kind of slide that over, keep that in place. And then let me get this pushed down. There we go. Now, notice that this hoop template, the vertical black line is off the center, but everything is parallel to the grid, which is really what you're all about here. Now, those lines, you can do the Frixion pens, you can do the water soluble, you can do the washout. There is, if you're marking on black fabric, Clover does a wonderful white marking pen, so you can actually see the white marks and not go, gosh, I wonder how I'm going to mark on that fabric. So check out what you have. Usually I have a couple colors. I had to switch to black because I noticed when I drew with the pink, you couldn't see it under these red lines. So have a couple colors, couple different styles, depending on what your fabric is. You want to be able to mark in different ways. Those templates are available also for your smaller hoop. So templates, hooping takes practice. Don't get frustrated. The more you do it, the easier it gets.